Charleston stands as a city shaped by tides, trade, and survival. It has burned, flooded, prospered, and endured. Its streets have carried wealth and suffering side by side. Built on low marshland at the edge of the Atlantic, it grew powerful not through size, but through position. By the year 1800, Charleston was already marked by cycles of destruction and rebuilding. Fires had erased entire neighborhoods. Hurricanes had pushed the sea into its streets. Yet the city returned each time, reshaped but recognizable, holding tightly to its place in the American South. This history matters because Charleston developed early, peaked early, and felt the weight of its choices early. Long before many inland cities formed, Charleston was already a major port. Its wealth flowed from ships, plantations, and forced labor. Its elegance and fragility existed together. The city's past is not distant or abstract. It is visible in its layout, its architecture, and its silences. What we see today was already taking form by 1800. In this film, AI-reconstruction brings Charleston at the turn of the 19th century back into view. Historical maps, paintings, and written records guide the reconstruction. Streets, buildings, and shorelines are rebuilt as they once appeared. The goal is quiet observation, not spectacle. If you find value in this approach, a simple subscription or comment helps support future work. Charleston began as a modest settlement on a narrow peninsula between two rivers. Water defined everything. The Ashley River to the west and the Cooper River to the east shaped trade and defense. The harbor was deep and protected. This alone gave the city importance beyond its size. Early Charleston was compact. Wooden houses stood close together. Dirt streets followed irregular paths. Fortifications guarded the waterfront. Compared to older European cities, Charleston was young. Compared to other North American towns, it was already influential. By the late 18th century, Charleston had grown into one of the largest cities in the United States. Its population hovered around 20,000, nearly half of whom were enslaved Africans and their descendants. This imbalance shaped daily life. Markets were busy. Docks were crowded. Church bells marked time. Government buildings and private homes stood within walking distance of each other. Political power, commercial wealth, and domestic life overlapped in the same few square miles. The city's expansion was driven by trade rather than industry. Rice, indigo, and later cotton passed through its port. Ships arrived from the Caribbean, Europe, and northern cities. Warehouses lined the waterfront. Counting houses and taverns filled the streets behind them. The air carried the smell of salt, wood, and tar. Charleston did not yet have factories in the northern sense. Its energy came from shipping schedules, auctions, and seasonal harvests moving through the harbor. By 1800, Charleston had reached a form of early maturity. Brick replaced wood after repeated fires. Wide streets were laid out to reduce future damage. Public buildings grew more confident in style. Churches rose above the rooftops, visible from the water. Townhouses reflected European influence, adapted to heat and humidity with balconies and high ceilings. Daily life followed a steady rhythm. Carriages moved slowly. Goods changed hands. The city appeared stable, orderly, and prosperous, even as the foundations beneath it remained exposed to forces it could not fully control. Charleston's confidence at the turn of the 19th century did not mean security. The city remained vulnerable to forces beyond its control. Fire was a constant threat. Dense construction and open flames made entire blocks disappear overnight. Disease moved easily through the port. Yellow fever outbreaks returned with the ships each summer. Hurricanes pressed inland from the Atlantic, flooding streets and weakening foundations. These events were not treated as exceptions. They were expected parts of life in a coastal city. Political tension also surrounded Charleston. The city stood deeply tied to a plantation economy that depended on enslaved labor. This system generated wealth but required constant enforcement. Military drills and patrols were common sights. Fortifications remained active, not only for foreign threats but for internal control. The city's calm surface concealed a rigid and fragile order. Charleston functioned smoothly, but it required effort to keep it that way. As the 19th century progressed, Charleston began to feel pressure from outside change. Northern cities expanded rapidly through manufacturing and canals. New ports developed along the Gulf Coast. Railroads began to reshape trade routes inland. Charleston's harbor remained important, but its relative position slowly weakened. The city responded by reinforcing what it already knew. It preserved tradition rather than reinventing itself. This choice shaped its future. Crisis arrived not as a single moment, but as a sequence. Economic shifts reduced trade dominance. Political division intensified across the region. When war finally reached Charleston in the mid-19th century, the city became both symbol and target. Blockades closed the harbor. Shelling damaged buildings and infrastructure. Streets once filled with commerce grew quiet. The visual order of the city fractured. Roofs collapsed. Churches stood scarred. The port that had once brought wealth now brought isolation. After the conflict, Charleston faced survival rather than growth. Population declined. Many buildings remained damaged for years. Public funds were limited. Infrastructure repairs were slow. The city adapted by reuse rather than replacement. Ruined structures were stabilized instead of demolished. Streets remained narrow. The urban footprint stayed small. What had once been signs of stagnation later became sources of preservation. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Charleston transformed again, but carefully. Rather than expanding outward or upward, it began to protect its past. Older buildings were maintained. The city's historic character became a defining feature. This was not a return to former power. It was an acceptance of a different role. Charleston became a place of memory rather than ambition. Architecture shifted subtly. New construction respected old patterns. Height limits preserved sight lines. The waterfront changed function, moving away from heavy industry. Tourism emerged slowly, built on walking streets and preserved facades. The city learned to exist within its limits. Geography, once a vulnerability, became part of its identity. Seen across centuries, Charleston's story is one of early prominence followed by careful endurance. It rose quickly, suffered repeatedly, and chose continuity over reinvention. The Charleston of 1800 already contained this trajectory. Its streets, buildings, and harbor reflected both confidence and restraint. What was built then still shapes what exists now. Today, Charleston appears calm and composed. That calm is the result of long adjustment rather than uninterrupted success. Layers of history remain visible, not through monuments alone, but through scale and layout. The city never escaped its past. Instead, it carried it forward, brick by brick, street by street. Watching Charleston across time reveals a city that learned how to last, even when it could no longer lead.